Adil Khan knew Chris Noble and the O'Brien family, who used to live above and next door to what once was this Darling Street convenience store. The court also heard today that he knew there were bars on the windows upstairs because Bianca O'Brien's husband John had once asked to borrow a spanner to remove them.
One of the advantages of this octocopter is that it can get into an area affected by a mining incident or cyclone to see where rehabilitation efforts are needed more quickly and cheaply than a ground team.
According to the study, FOMO doesn't stop when teenagers become adults. Almost half of 18 to 35-year-olds experience the phenomenon.
And seeing what your friends are up to on Snapchat, Instagram or Facebook can make work on a sunny Sunday afternoon like this particularly unpleasant.
In 2017, Volvo will be delivering 100 of these cars to customers in Gothenburg, Sweden. They'll be using them to travel along a certain route to work. And it's that sort of trial the South Australian government is hoping to emulate.
I'm on a ride along here with a frontline police officer. We've only been in the car for about 10 minutes and already we're on our way to a domestic violence incident. It's not clear yet what the details of this case are, but police say these types of incidents are often violent and unpredictable.
It's now the afternoon peak and many of the commuters around here used to get a bus from George Street. They now have to walk up Park Street to get the buses heading west, and it has caused an element of frustration.
To impose control and avoid the chaotic scenes of recent weeks, you can see how Hungarian police are controlling the movements of the people onto the platform, keeping them behind these fences here and just letting them through one group at a time.
Foggers spray a mixture of the chemical malathion and diesel to kill mosquitoes and prevent further breeding. But there's concern there's neither enough resources to have an impact nor enough protective equipment for those doing this dangerous work.
Stuart has just adjusted the GPS tracker to this young female buffalo. She's been put to sleep with an anaesthetic agent from Africa. She won't get back up again until she's been given the antidote.
The memorial is outside, alongside but separate to the military, as is the position of correspondents in conflict zones. Now that role has changed a lot over the past century, and some would argue that it's riskier now than ever before.
The boy was riding down Tyrone Place when he hit the back of the parked semi-trailer, sliding underneath and hitting the wheels. The force of the impact was so strong he actually bent back the metal bar on the end of the truck.
Thanks to this robot, the crew can inspect the diffusers without even getting wet. But 25 years ago, it was the job of 2 men in a tiny submarine.
This is the koala's kingdom, almost the perfect habitat. It's quite a hike to get here, about 2 k's from the road, and it can be pretty steep, one of the highest points. Some believe up to 1,000 of the marsupials live on Magnetic Island. We saw 2 on our way up here to the forts. Because it's been so dry, they've been forced down into the towns and onto the streets in search of food and into harm's way.
The conservationists say as the bush is constantly evolving, this area will probably never be the same again. And it'll take at least another 5 years for the canopy to re-establish. Louise Bell's younger sister was read to the court, in which she said she couldn't remember the night her sister vanished or the morning after. But she could recall in later years Fennig's combi van being parked across the road at a neighbour's house and the neighbour's 2 daughters getting into the van.
Here at the Malala RSL, donations are flooding in. There's canned food, cereal, bread and dog food. Through here there are tables of clothing, people are dropping off kids' toys, there are shoes, there's even a fridge.
It's flare-ups like these that are keeping firefighters on their toes, although today's cooler conditions have helped firefighters gain the upper hand on this huge blaze. It could all too easily get out of hand again.
We've just stopped at this property at Templars in South Australia where I've just spoken to the property owners. They don't feel like they're ready to go on camera, but they've told me that their parents have lost their house just further down the highway here. We're just next to the Sturt Highway, which is just off behind us. As you can see, the CFS has just been called in to save this, one of the last remaining sheds that this couple has on their property. If you look up beyond us here, you can see the damage is all around this property. Further on there's equipment damaged here and smoke still smouldering in the distance And out in the paddock here, these were all bales of straw which have all just been burnt by the owners here. They say it wasn't a bushfire, they say it was a firestorm. It was hell lived. It was just an intense situation that they had nothing to do, that they could not escape it. They couldn't stop it coming through what was a cut and harvested paddock. It still came through and burnt all of this straw here. We'll keep walking down here. We'll see the rest of the damage. We go past these guys. The CFS are being called into various locations to fight spot fires. As we drive along the highway, we can see that there are fires across the horizon in all directions. So these guys are being called in to try and fight these fires and put them out to get rid of any problems, because this wind is still blowing quite strongly in this part of the state. Beyond us here we have what was a wool shed. A short time ago, SA Power was here disconnecting the power from the wool shed to ensure that there was no safety issue when the power comes back on. This house doesn't have any water, no power. If you look off this way, there's another shed that's still smouldering away. And if you follow me down this way, we'll keep coming and I'll show you the piece of machinery here that the property owner was working on. This piece of machinery in the distance, an expensive piece of farm property or farm equipment that's now totally burnt out. The owner of that said he thought it would be safe parking it out in the middle of an open area like this, but as you can see, it's been reduced to all but a wreck. And that's the situation here for so many people in this part of the state at the moment.